Hey everyone, welcome to the Men of Magdalene Podcast. I'm your host, Dez Loessberg, and I'm excited today because we have episode number 3 with my brother, Michael Desiderio. And so, Michael, why don't you share with the Men of Magdalene who you are, your connection to the church, your family life, all the good stuff.
Excellent. Thanks, Dez. So my name is Michael Desiderio. I've been a parishioner here at St. Mary Magdalene for more than a decade, more than 10 years. My son and my wife and I have served at the 4:30 Mass, which starts here a little bit today, for at least 7 or 8 years, maybe longer. I'm an usher, a lector, and my wife serves as a sacristan. My son runs the soundboard, and he also is an usher. So to say we're involved in the parish is an understatement.
Yeah, absolutely. So that just jarred a memory of mine, and that is how we got connected and how I came here to St. Mary Magdalene. So I just want to share a quick story with everyone. So I was going to another parish at the time, and truth be told, I was one of those twice a year parishioners, Easter, Christmas, and you and I were on a phone call, and you said, hey, you know what? Why don't you check out my parish, St. Mary Magdalene, and bring your family. And I'm like, that's all right. Okay, yeah, I'll come check it out. And I walk in those doors, and the first thing you do, right when I walk in, he hands me an usher badge.
This is true. This is true.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the connection piece, because that'll lead us into the Men of Magdalene. Like, what made you called to St. Mary Magdalene, this parish in particular, and perhaps maybe you could touch on why connection is so important with this ministry.
Yeah, and so it's a great question. It's interesting, though, how some things happen not for the reasons that they end up being the reasons long term. So let me be real specific here. So my son, Michael J., who at the time where we started here at St. Mary Magdalene, was just about to enter the age where he needed to enter, religious formation, goes to a public school. And we were at a different parish in Chandler and decided it was time to be closer to home. We live here in Gilbert. We live 7 minutes from the church. So we decided let's go to the church where our son is probably going to need to spend more time. And then little by little, we get connected to the community here, and specifically the folks that were running the different ministries. And once we sort of took that little sip of what we felt made St. Mary Magdalene different, we just kind of fell in love. And here we are, years later, almost more than a decade later.
Actively recruiting, let's just say.
Well, I was going to get to that. It is funny when you say actively, because we just, Dez and I had a different thing, Toastmasters, that connected us, but we realized that we shared some other things beyond Toastmasters. And at the time, didn't know that St. Mary Magdalene would be a piece of that. He is right. I did invite him and did recruit him to be an usher. And I think it's because we already had this small connection, and I think both of us yearned for a deeper one. I don't want to speak for you, but that's...
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm a firm believer that things don't happen to us or for us, they happen through us. And I kind of feel like that happened through you, Michael, to bring me into the church and to this particular parish. But I want to go back to this whole recruiting thing, because another story, let's fast forward now, 2 years later, after I'm serving, I'm lector, I'm usher as well, hooked in, and I'm connected with the church.
Oh, I know where he's going, unfortunately. Can we talk about something else? Go ahead.
So I actually was not at this Mass.
This is true.
And Joe and Nick, who are the visionaries of the Men of Magdalene, came forward with Exodus 90. And
St. Michael's Lent specifically.
St. Michael's Lent specifically. And I remember you calling me or leaving me a voice memo saying, hey, you won't believe this calling I had, what happened. By the way, you're a part of this Exodus 90 thing. So yeah, I want to talk about why you felt called, because we did Exodus 90, that ended, and now we formed this ministry. Because Father Clote, Joe said, hey, we need more. Father Clote wants more of this connection piece. Why are you feeling called to the Men of Magdalene, this ministry in particular, and what do you feel like has been missing from the parish?
Yeah, but of course I have to defend myself with the St. Michael's Lent. It is ironic. I had gone to confession in a different parish, just the way it worked out that particular week for me in August, and I walked into a church I'd never been in. Long story short, they have this giant statue of St. Michael, which is not unusual, and so I have that in my head right after receiving my penance and stuff. I leave the church, and then I come to St. Mary Magdalene If it was not that weekend, it was probably next weekend. I honestly don't remember. I'd have to go look at my calendar. But I walk in and here's this big sign, St. Michael's Lent. And Joe and Nick, and I talked to them, and I knew instantly that I was going to do that. And Dez wasn't there, so it is true that I did sign him up and then called him later. But here's the thing that's interesting. I entered doing St. Michael's Lent because of the connection to St. Michael, and I thought it would be another way for us to have a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then that led to, obviously, maybe not obviously, but being connected with other men through St. Michael's Lent. And for the longest time, and Dez and I have talked about this before, and my wife and I have actually, is we love this parish. But we leave church and there's probably a handful of people that we know personally. And like, how can you be involved with something almost every week, unless we're traveling, for more than a decade? And so we felt like we needed a deeper connection. And when this surfaced, the idea of the Men of Magdalene, to me, it seemed like this was the Lord speaking through us to say there's an opportunity here to have an impact beyond just the two of us or our families. And I know you may be going to go here, but I feel it's important to say, for me, it wasn't just about the connection to other men. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but for me, it was the idea of connecting families through men. So that's become a part of one of the pillars.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to that in just a second, because I do want to announce to everyone who may not have seen, January 9th, we did have our launch gathering. Michael was the MC, did a magnificent job facilitating. Everyone gave amazing feedback. And so I just want to touch on this real quick, and we'll get to the family pillar and what you lead there. What was your biggest takeaway? We, just so everyone knows, we had 79 men raise their hands saying, tell me more. Then we had 34 men RSVP on a Friday night. On a Friday night, national football game, college, all the good stuff. 34 men. And then we had 10 more men who didn't even register, didn't raise their hand, just came out of the woodworks, right? So we had 44 men show up. And now, as we asked men to opt into our ministry, we have 49 opted in as of today. And so my ask is, what was your biggest takeaway? What did you see? What kind of energy did you feel in that room?
Yeah, and that's the word I was going to go to. And this isn't scripted. I don't know if Dez's part is, but mine's certainly not. So it was energy, right? So there were so many great things that happened that night. Father Claude came and kicked it off with a beautiful blessing the ministry, blessing the men in the room. But for me, it was watching the energy of those 44 participants. We did sort of some breakout questions, nothing really deep, but watching the interaction so much so that we had planned another set of questions for men to break into groups again. And we called an audible and decided the energy is so good, we're just going to let them keep talking. So I walked away realizing people want this connection,
Yes, absolutely.
It's sometimes hard to talk about it. You're leaving mass, you got things to go, run home to cook dinner, kids got homework, but you can feel it. Or 44 men don't show up on a Friday night to something that they probably weren't even 100% clear what they were showing up for. So it's that connection piece, but it was the energy that night that for me, I'm like, wow, this is the Lord speaking. We're just facilitating it. That's all we're doing.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I felt a good connection that night. I felt a lot of energy. And without diving deep into what happened at that meeting, we want to invite everyone in to see what we're about, to our events. But let's touch on this family pillar. So you said you felt called to be a part of, or the family aspect of this, and that connection piece. And so Michael's actually the leader of family connection, the family pillar. We have 3 pillars: faith, family, and fellowship. Those are our 3 pillars. And you're leading, Michael's our leader in the family part. So can you talk more about what that means to you and what you plan on bringing to the Men of Magdalene with the family pillar?
Yeah, you bet. And I'll get to specifics of something that we hope you'll be as excited at that as we are. That's coming up in February. That's a teaser just for a minute. But for me, Dez, I'm an older dad, right? You can see the gray hair. I've got a 15-year-old son, but my wife and I have been married for 35 years. Family has always been something that was culturally ingrained in me. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York Italian family, right, where family is very, very important. My wife grew up in a deep Southern Mississippi family where family is very important. So it's something we've always as a trio, as I like to refer to my family, my son Michael, Stephanie, and I, have always felt called to do, and I'll give you some specific examples. For years, we broke the pattern when Michael J's schedule changed. For years, when he was younger, on Sunday, we would invite a different family over, not from St. Mary Magdalene, oddly enough, but from wherever in our network, to come and have dinner with us on Sunday night, because we always have dinner on Sunday night. And so it's always been a part of who we are. And as this idea emerged for the Men of Magdalene, to me, it was so crystal clear. Because initially, with St. Michael's Lent, I thought, I'll do that. It'll be a great experience. I'd go on to something else. And then with the help of Joe and Nick, and then obviously my brother Dez here, like a spark went off of me that there's an opportunity for families to be connected. And I think in today's society, it's not a lecture, but for where I sit, I worry that the family unit is somewhat under assault.
Yeah.
And so if we can do something to facilitate connections between other families through faith, I think there's an opportunity there to have an even bigger impact than we'll see, directly with our eyeballs at any one or more event. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And oh man, I want to unpack that right now, but we don't have time. We have to get in and serve. And this is going to be shorter episodes, but we will go back to that eventually on a subsequent episode with Michael. But let's talk about this last piece, and that is our first event.
Yeah.
February 21st. Michael's going to be opening up his home. He's graced us with his welcoming attitude and helping bring in families from the parish into the home, and we're going to eat. And why don't you share?
Yeah. So, and I want to be clear, my wife and son bought into this as well, right? So in our house, those decisions are made as a trio. But yeah, we're excited. So February 21st, I think it's a Saturday afternoon, 12 to 3 p.m. roughly, we'll get communication out. It's a potluck. It's your kids, it's your spouses, it's whoever you want to bring that's connected to your family. My joke is, though, don't pull up to my house, drop your kids off, and go golf somewhere. That's not what it is.
Oh, okay, well, I'm going to remove my RSVP now. I thought this was a babysitting club.
But it's a baby step in trying to connect families in the community. And I think anytime you break bread with people, you get to know them better. So that's the thinking behind it.
Absolutely. So we'll be sending out that information. We're going to ask for RSVPs because we need to know. We don't want 21 salads coming, right? So we're going to be sending that information out. We look forward to hosting you. Michael, thank you for that gift and opening up your home. And so from the bottom of my heart, from me to you, we'll get more into it later. But it has been an honor, and I'm super excited what the future holds for the Men of Magdalene, specifically in the faith pillar, brother. Thank you.
Same here.
Yeah.
We look forward to more.
All right, see ya.